Unlike the other planets ruled over by the Imperium of Man, Forge Worlds are the domain of the Adeptus Mechanicus. Different in so many ways, the AdMech exists as a part of humanity while simultaneously being something completely unique, both culturally and militaristically. If you're a complete newcomer to the 40k universe, I would suggest that you check out our 40 facts and lore on the Adeptus Mechanicus, as this video will explore the symbiotic relationship with the priesthood of Mars and the rest of the Imperium. That will give you an understanding of today's very important topic, the major forge worlds of the Imperium of Man. These planets are superpowers, not just within the Imperial space, but also the entire galaxy. Think of every single forge world we will talk about today as extensions of the Red Planet. These worlds have the power to rule over and defend entire sectors and still have enough resources to send out military help all across the galaxy. Attaining such an incredible position in the grand scheme of things is no easy task, and as we cover the lore of the major Forge worlds, we will be learning about how many trials and tribulations each Forge world had to go through in order to obtain control. And with that said, I want to welcome you guys back to another 40 facts about the 40k universe. I am your host, Gershwan, and today we're going to be talking about the major Forge worlds of the Imperium of Man. If you guys are new to the channel, we post Warhammer 40k lore videos every single day. What I try to do is I create a video with a lore portion that usually inspires some sort of hobby portion, and then a Q&A at the end where I answer your guys' comments. So if you guys have questions about the 40k universe or anything that you guys would like to see me react to in the following 40 facts video, just comment down in the comment section below. I'll try my best to get to it in the next video. And if you like this kind of content, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and share with your friends. It helps the channel out, and it tells YouTube that you want to see more Warhammer 40k content like this, where we talk about the lore. But with all that said, let's get into 40 facts on the major Forge worlds of the 40k universe. Agrippina is a Forge world scarred by war. Its legions forged in conflict's crucible and tempered through the fires of countless hellish battles. Long has this forge world resisted the hostile attentions of the Dark God's minions, for it stands perilously close to the warp maw known as the Eye of Terror. Once Agrippina labored day and night to supply the fortress world of Cadia with munitions for its endless vigil over the Eye of Terror. So integral to the Forge world was this mission that some tech priests had interpreted the hermetic symbols of Agrippina's iconography as representing the Cadian Gate standing supreme over the forces of chaos. Cadia's fall has forced these and countless other assumptions to be rethought. Even before Abaddon's victory during the 13th Black Crusade, Agrippina was already a heavily fortified and war-scarred world. Heretic raiding parties struck at the Forge world often, some seeking to plunder its technological secrets, while others hoped to disrupt the planet's crucial supply lines to key worlds throughout the Cadian war zone. Since Cadia's fall, the frequency and severity of these attacks has increased tenfold. Agrippina exists in a state of near-constant conflict, fighting wars of both attack and defense as its macroclads seek to drive back the endless tides of foes spilling from the Eye of Terror. Typically dispassionate, the planet's tech priests have taken every opportunity to hone their armies and defenses both, dissecting every data psalm and noospheric inquisition extracted from each battle and employing their learnings with dogmatic determination. Yet the priests of the Omnissiah are not above emotion when pushed. The assaults upon their world by the unclean servants of the Dark Mechanicus, by obliterator cults, warpsmiths, and even loathsome traitor titan legions have instilled in the tech priest of Agrippina a cold and unbending hatred for the worshippers of the Dark Gods. The priests have perfected countless methods of slaughtering their heretic foes and will fight on against them even upon the collapse of logic and reason. While Agrippina's stoic defenders have refined their protocols of repudiation and dogged resistance, its tech priests have formulated complex strategies of aggressive counter-sieges as well. Huge wedges of sulfur hounds are unleashed upon advancing enemy formations in shockingly brutal and seemingly reckless maneuvers. Smaller units of Skitarii Rangers and Raiders harry the enemy, while flights of Stratoraptors strike simultaneously, sometimes adding greatly to the Forge world's own casualties. Any surviving Skitarii of the first charge are pulled back into the second wave, and then the procedure repeats. By the time the enemy reaches the guns of the stationary defenders, they are fractured, bloodied, and demoralized, their cohesion ready to fall upon Agrippina's forces. As with many powerful and well-fortified worlds throughout the wider Cadian Gate, Agrippina has become a focal point of not only conflict, but also refugees. It is natural that fleeing Imperial citizens and soldiery alike would put aside their prejudices in such desperate times and seek shelter behind the ironclad bulwarks of the Adeptus Mechanicus. Agrippina welcomes all willing to serve the Omnissiah. Many have chosen starvation over what the planet's magi see as logical contributions to the ultimate victory, but countless others have stepped willingly into the Omnissiah's embrace. This influx of raw, organic material have thus far allowed Agrippina to replace losses amongst its labor-clads and the Scutari cohorts as swiftly as they are inflicted. Whether this will continue to be the case remains to be seen. The Forge World of Ryza is famed as the cradle from which many plasma-based weapon technology has sprung. It is the originator of such wonders as the Stormblade and the Lehman Russ Executioner. Yet for all its magnificence and tech heritage, Ryza is a world sorely embattled, caught amidst the storm of Xeno foes. From its forge temples to its colossal dust dunes, its smog-thick skies and acidic rivers to its dense clouds of low-orbital industrial platforms, Ryza stands besieged. The greenskins of two vast orc wogs have converged upon the forge world in their billions, Wog Grax and Wog Rarguts, either of which by themselves possess the sheer strength and weight of numbers and brutish warriors and war machines to completely overwhelm an entire imperial system, and yet they pour down upon Ryza in endless waves. Savage greenskin techno-barbarians blast ancient and irreplaceable machineries to scrap, then add insult to injury by scavenging the wreckage in order to fashion ramshackled weapons of their own. Roaring with glee, hordes of orcs surge upon the planet's surface in breakneck races and beat against the defenses of each forge complex like the crashing waves of a bestial storm. For all of this, Ryza remains unbowed. If anything, the world's tech priests could be accused of taking an unseemly delight in some aspects of their world's predicament. With the express permission of their world's fabricator general, the priests of Ryza unleash the most potent weapons in their arsenal upon the invaders, treating each new engagement as a testing ground, and gathering reams of combat data from victory and defeat alike. From macro-Gatling lasers and plasma disintegration cannons to building-sized transdimensional beamers, anti-gravitic minefields, electrovoltic blunderbusses, and countless other martial esoterica, the Priests of Ryza unleash endlessly terrifying weapons against the orc invaders. And of course, this has transformed the planet's surface into a hellish vision of total war. Yet neither the Ryzans themselves nor their greenskin foes appear perturbed by the nightmare they have created. Nor does Ryza fight alone. Colossal titans wade through the wreckage of blasted manufactorums with guns thundering. Regiments of the Catachan Imperial Guardsmen battle their alien foes through the toxic swamps of the Ryzan hinterlands. Through a mass martial might and ever-developing weaponry, the Forge World continues to resist the overwhelming greenskin invasion. Though the battle still shows no end in sight, Ryza's commitment to the other war zones remains undiminished, and they seek ever more diverse testing grounds for their protocols and their materials. And then there's the Forge World of Graia, the crown of miracles. The armed forces of this Forge World are amongst the most indomitable and downright stubborn to fight in the defense of the Imperium. They are the byword of martial discipline and obediency both, advancing into firestorms with inhuman fearlessness that is as unsettling as it is inspirational. Everything about the armies of this Forge World beseek ironclad control. So hardwired is their logic, it is said that they can even shield themselves from the malignant attentions of the enemy psyker. Prior to entering battle, the ruling tech priests of the Graian military draw upon resilient battle plans and doctrinal subordinates based on disposition logic. These are then disseminated into their foot soldiers with the weight of holy right. So commanded, every Graian warrior knows their role in the wider shape of the battle, and they strive to fulfill it with unswerving determination. There are many eyewitness accounts from other Imperial forces of Graian Scutari acting more like battle automatons than living, thinking beings. Neither terrifying inhuman enemies nor thunderous incoming fire can halt the warriors of Graia. Indeed, these macroclads have been described as pressing forward onto their own destruction with an almost mindless determination. This tenacity has proven an asset upon many battlefields where the Graian soldiery have crushed their foes under a relentless advance, or waged attrition battles that eventually broke the enemy with the horrors of their cost. And yet this has also proven to be a detriment in battle, where prudent retreat or rapid tactical flexibility would have prevented the wholesale annihilation of Graia's advancing cohort. Of course, such tragic defeats carry little emotional weight with the Forge World's tech priests. Instead, each such disaster is simply analyzed, dissected, and broken down into strategic data which is fed into the predictive models of future conflicts. Graia itself is unusual in that the Forge World is crested by a geometrically perfect ring of space stations known as the Graian Crown. It is within this megastructure that the Forge World's armies reside. and from it they deploy en masse to repel those who would seek to invade the world below. Moreover, the entire vast structure can move under its own power, and even translate into warp space, allowing the armies of Graia to forge out across the galaxy and exploit the resources of distant worlds, though knowledge of this technology is suppressed as much as possible. Travel aboard the Graian Crown is an imperfect process. The megastructure has repeatedly attracted the hostile attention of both warp entities and the ancient Necrons, and entire battles have been fought within its weirdly symmetrical depths to prevent it from being overrun or captured. Yet so great an advantage is this immense battle fortress that the logical value of its use to Graia far outweighs the potential risk of its loss to hostile enemy forces. When the Graian Crown leaves its forge world, its fabricator temples are stocked with munitions and its holding decks provisioned with thousands of volunteers. Once a suitable resource-rich world has been discovered, the Crown locks into a stationary orbit like a tick. Fleets of industrial harvesters descend, leeching the world of its asset. Should an enemy be foolish enough to attempt to board the Crown, its production subroutine adapts. Hundreds of freshly built Skitarian servitors pour off the production lines every single minute, and servo carts deliver vast quantities of ammunition to their defenders. While the foe continues to be bled, the plunder of their world below continues unabated. And that's the lore on the major forge worlds of the Imperium of Man. I hope you guys enjoyed. Towards the end, there were a couple of repeats, but the cool thing about 40k is that, I found, because I've been playing 40k since I was like 10, and what I found is that every single codex is the same lore, but what's cool is that every single time you read it, or every single edition that you read it, your understanding of that faction or whatever aspect of 40k you're reading gets a whole lot stronger. Sometimes, depending on the edition, certain sentences are taken out or added, and that that increases your understanding of that faction as well. So hopefully this serves that purpose, to listen to the lore again about like all the other major factions that we've talked about in the past. It just helps you solidify an understanding of those forge worlds and stuff like that. But yeah, now let's get into answering the questions and the comments that you guys left off in yesterday's 40 Facts video, the 40 Facts and Lore on the Orc Snakebite clan. I also taught you guys how to kit bash your very own Pharaoh Orc, so go check that video out if you haven't done so already. If you guys have more comments for me to respond to, just comment down in the comment section below. I'll respond to them in tomorrow's 40 Facts video. But let's get into it. This one comes from The Crow. How do you feel about Games Workshop threatening people who make fan-made 40k content? I think it's awful. I think I'm in the same boat as most of the community, in that I wish that Games Workshop wouldn't do things like this. I know they harmed Soda's, the YouTube channel, so it's one of those like shitty situations where the fan animators that didn't make it to the level of like Astartes now have to stop making content, or have that stress of like in the back of their mind their content might get like, or might get copyright infringement strikes on their YouTube channel. They might lose their fan base, stuff like that. So it's awful, but it's not something new that Games Workshop has done. Back in the day, back when YouTube was still young and mini wargaming was like the biggest thing, and then there was another channel called Beast of War. Both of them had an online website. Really, like the YouTube channel was to promote the online website. Later on, they just became all about the YouTube channel. But Games Workshop passed this like rule that you couldn't use the images on their web store, on your web store, like if you're a third-party seller, and that created huge problems for Beast of War, and Beast of War actually got hit with a couple of pretty negative, like I don't know if it was like a lawsuit or something, but I remember they stopped creating 40k content for a really long time, and they were just about like War Machine and Hordes and stuff like that. So Games Workshop being super greedy with their IP is not something new, but it's also not something that's out of place. They are a business at the end of the day, and they have the right to do that, I guess. It just sucks. The thing that we can do as a community is talk about it and express our concerns that Games Workshop is putting stress on individuals who are helping the community grow and helping their sales, because those animations really do suck people into the hobby, and us like going on Instagram, Facebook, complaining about it and having a reaction in that way is really the only thing that we can do. So if you are also mad about the whole situation, just express it on social media and whatnot. But just understand that at the end of the day, they can do whatever they want. So, unfortunately. Next question comes from Carrie Vaught. Could Wog energy work against the orcs? Say they saw red-colored marines and enough of them brought their weapons. Would it be even more powerful because of the color? Would love to see more of the Anchorite, a loyalist contemptor dreadnought of the word bearers. I'll check it out. I'll try to create a 40 facts video for you on him. And no, that's not how it works. So like, the way I like to think of Wog energy for the orcs in terms of their, like the colors and stuff like that is it just affects the probability of that thing happening. So purple makes things more sneaky. Odds are that they will be slightly sneakier than normal just because of the Wog energy affecting the chances of them getting caught. But it doesn't do, the reverse is not the same. I've made this comparison before in the past, but I think of the Marvel character. I think it's a mutant from X-Men. It's either Domino or like Black Cat or something like that. But basically, like, she's really, really lucky. So she was one of the characters in the Deadpool movie, the second one, where like she just does some crazy things, and it's just like it's luck, and that's what Orc Wog energy is. Like, the gun is not supposed to work. It's supposed to blow up in their hands, but it doesn't just because they're lucky. And that adds, like, humor to the whole thing and stuff like that. The Wog energy is more complicated than that. That's, like, an oversimplified version of it, just as a quick explanation. But, yeah, to answer, no. The red color Marines would not go faster or anything like that. Next question comes from Kane Smith. I'd like to see lore on the aspects of the ghoul stars, please. Also try this for a shot slammer. 10 milliliters of Midori, 10 milliliters of vodka, so it's 1, and then butterscotch schnapps. I call it the Silent Assassin. That sounds really interesting. I might try it. You guys are really crazy about vodka, huh? It must be easier to get vodka in Europe than it is. Well, I mean, it's easy to get vodka here. It's just not, like, when I think of clear alcohol, I don't think vodka. I usually think tequila because it's better. It tastes better. Whereas vodka is like rubbing alcohol. But Polish vodka might taste different. I've had the one with the leaf. I don't know what it's called, or the grass blade. I don't know what it's called. But yeah, I'll give it a shot. Thank you. And then also, yes, I'll create a 40 facts video on the ghoul stars. This next question comes from Demon Mind Gaming. Still could have gone for the day she look. What? But I do appreciate the fact they are living memes of improvise, adapt, and overcome. Still could have gone for the day she look. I don't know what that means, man. I don't know. Next question comes from Matt. Are Squigots still competitive on the tabletop? Seems that the meta has changed from them to Stampas. I know they only have Forge World models now. They're probably not competitive. Sorry. They're probably not competitive because of the fact that the guns that the Squigots carry is either going to be a cannon or big shooters, and battle wagons do that. So, no, they're probably not competitive. They're just really expensive, but they look awesome. I still want to get one. Next question comes from 50 IQ. Does anyone know when they will be released? I'm guessing you are referring to the Beast Snagga Boys. They should be released this Saturday. What is happening with my throat? But yeah, the Beast Snagga Boys, if you pre-ordered last weekend, they should come out this weekend. And then next question comes from Brooke Merricks. Please do Goffs next. Love your lore videos. Thank you. And yes, I will. Next question comes from Damned Legion. Is it possible that the snake bites could be breeding giant snake-like squigs or something like that? Etekia Kaya from New Zealand. Etekia Kaha from New Zealand. Thanks, man. Yeah, it's definitely possible just because the snake... If you check out that 40 Facts video, there is an image of old Zogwarts, I think his name is. Let me see if I can pull it up. Yeah, if you go to 2 minutes and 54 seconds, and those snakes that he's holding, those are squig snakes. So they are a thing. To create a giant one, for sure. I'm pretty sure that a runt herder could definitely do that. Next comment comes from Eric Guzman. Didn't drill out the barrel. 0 out of 10. You're probably the one who disliked the video. Yeah, I'm sorry. I should have drilled it out. But you know what? I don't do that with orc boys because there's just so many of them. I have 122. That's just gonna it's gonna take too long, and I usually end up not centering it correctly, and then it looks bad. So yeah, I usually don't do that. I might do that for the or no, I don't have to do that for the flash kits. So flash kits might be a video that's gonna come up in the future. That's why I bring it up. And then next question comes from the big Mexican, the big one, sorry. Is a person who is half Chinese and half Mexican known as a Chexican? I don't think so. Because TikTok shared some videos of like half Asian, half Mexicans. I forgot what they call them. But you know what? Sure. Chexicans can be a thing that they are referred to. I've never met one, to be honest with you. Half Mexican, half Chinese. If you're half Mexican, half Chinese, cool. What do people call you? Probably by your name. But yeah. Next question comes from Sapper12B. And this is going to be the last question or comment. Because I went a little too overboard in yesterday's 40 Facts video. I went like 21 minutes of just talking. But he asks, or Sapper asks, was the Age of Sigmar orc model almost one piece? It looks like everything but maybe like the arm and one of the weapons hands was a solid piece. If so, that's amazing because that'll be really simple to recast. And I believe I'll start an orc army and I'll be able to do it with just one box. LOL. Yeah, it's just one piece. The torso is just one piece. The head is not though. The head is the tricky part to, I guess, recast. Very intricate, and the teeth will probably break. When it comes to recasting anything, Games Workshop, it's not gonna work. Like, you can't do the entire model. It's just, it won't work. Like, you probably, unless you're like a skilled recaster or you know how to work with molds, but more than likely it won't work. Just keep it to simply like small stuff like guns and like arms, maybe legs, stuff like that. But yeah, those were the questions for today. If you guys have more questions for me, please comment down below. Thank you guys so much for listening, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. This is Gersh1 with One Mind Syndicate signing out.
Always used to put my freedom first in any situation. I knew I never had that much to lose.